Right, let's see what we have. Dead Island. No. Trailer was good though. But, nah. Let's see. Duke Nukem Forever. Eesh. Imagine waiting forever for this game to come out, only to be shit. Ugh, you can go back inside. 50 Cent Blood and Sand. Well, to be honest, Bulletproof was better, so you can go back in there as well. Let's see. Yakuza Dead Souls. The only Yakuza game we got outside of Japan. Well, let's see. It's a zombie game. I mean, we don't have much of those lying around. I would be over the moon if we got the Samurai spin-off, but hey, we wouldn't understand anything. I mean, that's one of the reasons why it hasn't been ported over, which is dumb to say the least. Anyways, let's boot the game and briefly talk about the history of Yakuza Dead Souls. Well, for starters, it's a spin-off involving zombies. The setting takes place a year after Yakuza 4. The creator for Yakuza, Toshihiro Nagoshi, stated in the 15th anniversary livestream that early development, it was going to be about alien invasion instead of zombie apocalypse. The reason for alien was because of Kiryu line, that was, "How dare you step on people's planet with your dirty shoes, you bastards." Okay, he didn't say that last part, but I can kind of see Kiryu saying that. But ultimately, the devs were like, nah, let's just stick to zombies, because everybody loves zombies, right? I sure do. Keep in mind, this is for the PlayStation 3, and it's not all of them. I have a lot more for the systems, and I can choose other games, but I don't want to stack the same franchise on top of each other or be nitpicky. You see in a box art that 4 characters are playable, and they're all fan favourites. Hell, they're all my favourites. The game was first announced in June 2010 in a Famitsu gaming magazine, and it was then officially confirmed on the 1st of July. Later of July, all 4 characters got revealed one by one, first being the main protagonist, Kazuma Kiryu, then Goro Majima on July 21st, Shun Akiyama on 4th of August, and lastly, on 18th of August, Ryuji Goda was the final character to be announced. They really picked the powerhouses for the spin-off. I mean, like, I think this was the first time we got to play as Majima, and of course Ryuji. Akiyama makes a return from Yakuza 4 and Kiryu's Kiryu. When I first played this game, I only played Yakuza 4, so I only knew 3 out of 4 characters. Then later on, I eventually got to play Kiwami 2, and Ryuji is worthy to be playable. It's just a shame that you got to play as him in the spin-off. Dead Souls, kinda sounds like another version of Dark Souls. Anyways, Dead Souls was released on June 9th, 2011 for Japan. Unfortunately, it got delayed due to unfortunate tragic event that happened in Japan, which was the 2011 earthquake and tsunami. As for the rest of the world, it came out a year after, around March 2012. Dead Souls received mostly average reviews, stemming from the awful combat system, while the story is praised. The game sold in its first week 309,058 copies in Japan, and in 2012 worldwide, it sold under 500,000. It feels like it's an expansion to Yakuza 4 since it came out a year later. I think it would be successful if it were a DLC, because you're all in Kamurocho, unlike Yakuza 3 where you can travel outside, but as a standalone, it wouldn't work as the game is non-canonical to the main story. The story for Yakuza Dead Souls is good for a spin-off. I mean, you get to play as your favourite characters, Akiyama, Majima, Ryuji and Kiryu. You also see side characters from Yakuza 4 and previous Yakuza games. In the story, there's comedic moments, emotional moments that's not really emotional, and some badass moments. The story takes place a year after Yakuza 4. The story starts with Kiryu getting a call from Haruka, who is abducted, saying that Kamurocho is dying. So at the start, all you see is chaos, but the story doesn't start there. It will eventually lead up to that moment. But for now, the story is split into 4 parts. Starting with Shun Akiyama, and his day is normal. His assistant reminds him that it's collection day. On the other hand, a mysterious person walks inside Yakuza's office with a zombie and slaughters and eats all the Tojo clan members, which results in Akiyama holding off his collection debt. The Yakuza falls out the window and turns, eating at a police officer. Hana and Akiyama split up, leaving Akiyama to get stuck, surrounded by them. He uses a pistol, killing all of them. Hana then returns to him in confusion as they both go back to the office, Sky Finance. It seems that the infection hasn't consumed Kamurocho yet. Back in the office, Akiyama awakens from his sleep, and Hana at this point has a fever. Zombies break into the office uninvited, and now Kamurocho is filled with zombies. Well, that was quick. The office is compromised as Hana and Akiyama move to a new location to take shelter in New Serena on the 2nd floor of the same building. Nice. Leaving Hana by herself, Akiyama tries to find a doctor or some medicine for her fever, but a section that he's in is blocked off by a huge wall. A random Yakuza wants Akiyama's pistol, that's not happening. So instead he gives info on a weapon stash. In exchange he tells him how to get out of there. The stash is in a DVD shop. Side note, meet Reina at this point, a scientist that give you experience points if you complete your challenges. So once inside, the Yakuza shows up alongside with some survivors. All of them choose their own weapon in the secret stash. Akiyama picks up his dual pistol as well as some other weapons. He joins the Yakuza to head beyond the wall, and to do that they both need to go through the sewers and out of the quarantine zone to normal civilization. Akiyama and the Yakuza part ways. Inside the clinic the doctor isn't there, but his airhead assistant is, so after begging he gets the medicine and head back to New Serena. The place is wrecked and bloodied. Luckily Hana's alive and ran to the Oriental building, so Akiyama heads outside of the building and he sees the soldiers trying to maintain the situation but fail as they set up a new barricade to contain the chaos, leaving their own men behind. The Yakuza from before tags along with Akiyama to escape from the zombies in the streets and the sewers. They both exit out of a manhole outside of quarantine zone and a bunch of soldiers sails it off without questioning Akiyama or his friend. Yeah, cool, I guess. I mean, why not question them in case they might be infected? But overall, pretty standard job. The Yakuza guy leads Akiyama to another way of entering the Oriental building, which is like right next door to the building. Inside, Akiyama fights off zombies and heads to the top floor, finding Hana stuck inside a locker, which is funny cause she's fat. He gives her the pills and the fever is gone, but the reunion is interrupted by a mutant liquor thing. The survivors from before help Akiyama by taking Hana to safety and driving that thing towards him to finish it off. Killing it, Akiyama learns that the mutant is man-made, not a mutation from a zombie. So that's part 1 finished. The story then shifts to the mad dog of Shimano, Goro Majima, and he's watching a zombie film. Of course, why wouldn't he? On the desk is a photo of Ryuji Goda, a person that should be dead but is alive, and some random dude. The Tojo clan thinks that he's behind the attack on them, and the Omi Alliance are gonna crash the grand opening of Kamurocho Hills since all of the lieutenants are gonna be there. The random dude in the photo is called Tetsuo Nikaido, who's been on a test since Ryuji's absence, and it also explains why Saejima isn't in the game because he's in China. Back to the present time, in Majima's apartment, zombies enter inside, eating at his henchmen. At first he's confused as he's watching a zombie film and a zombie has appeared like right in front of him. Of course it doesn't scare Majima away. In fact, it's one of his fantasies that came into reality, and I don't know what's worse. After getting some supplies and killing every zombie in the building, like everything, Majima goes outside of the building and a huge ape-like mutant appears, throwing a van full of people at Majima, in which Majima responds by smacking the beast up close with his shotgun, a classic Majima fashion. After the fight, Majima gets a call from Azumi. All the top rank members are at the Kamurocho Hills. Majima can hear screams from the other side. The party has begun without him, which is a sin. Escaping the quarantine zone, Nikaido rolls up in front of Majima, saying you better hurry up lad before it's too late, and behold, it's under attack by zombies. Majima is loving the chaos, killing all the zombies outside of the hills. The building is barricaded, so Majima has to enter through the back. Azumi is alive, as well as the 6th chairman of Tojo clan, Daigo Dojima, and he learns that someone is targeting the Tojo clan specifically by unleashing zombies on them, as you've seen in the Akiyama story. The culprit for now is the Omi Alliance, Nikaido and Ryuji. Majima takes charge, telling survivors to board up windows, take their ration, and make sure that children and women are at the back of the line. A little child calls Majima a hero, which ruins his buzz, but it's a nice moment of him not acting crazy, but instead acting responsible. Night falls and Tojo reinforcements arrive, only to let zombies in like an idiot, so Majima runs off as the little girl is cheering him on. Daigo joins with him to eliminate the threat. Inside, a child is screaming on the 2nd floor that he's in. After saving the child and the mother, that child looks like he's 7. Anyways, they clear the 1st floor and Majima uses himself as bait so that Daigo can close off the hole that reinforcement made. During the process, Majima gets bitten by flying zombies. Daigo helps after as he doesn't want Majima taking all the glory. A person is flashing their light from a manhole at Majima. They both are stopped by mutant liquor that has evolved by turning invisible. Killing it, the person tells him to come in the tunnel. The florist wishes to speak with Daigo and Majima in the purgatory. However, the path to it is crawling with zombies. Inside the purgatory, some random soldiers selling zombie serum, a cure for 200k, a scam as Daigo says it so, but Majima is bit, so it's tempting for him. Moving on to the florist's office and into his secret base, the florist's been seeing Tojo officers being wiped out. Ryuji has been in Kamurocho for 6 months and his lackey finds Nikaido at the batting center, which is Majima's next destination. But Daigo wants him to wait till he talks to the Omi Alliance people. Majima leaves as waiting isn't his style. Akiyama appears out of nowhere and wants Majima to go with him to the batting center to blow off some steam, but Daigo told Majima not to go, as that is the chairman's order, and that order is absolute. So he goes to the batting center with Akiyama. Inside, the Omi and Nikaido are waiting. as well as a white suit female Michael Jackson looking creature. A huge ugly insect creature pops up with the help from Akiyama throwing a grenade and Majima smacking it into the creature's mouth. It explodes and the beast is slain. The batting cage is now overwhelmed by zombies. Majima's arm is getting worse. Then out of nowhere, Ryuji saves them both. Daigo is talking to the leader of Omi and he swears that he got nothing to do with unleashing zombies on the Tojo clan and doesn't know what Nikaido is doing other than his job. Daigo pressures him but gets frustrated and wants proof of the accusation. Ryuji is expelled from the Omi alliance since his fight with Kiryu and has no ties with them anymore. Part 2 of Majima's story is where it shines. I like how he takes control of the situation of the survivors but at the same time letting loose, killing everything he sees. Unfortunately he gets bit, which no one wants to see happen to arguably the best character in Yakuza, but you'll have to see what happens. Part 3 is Ryuji's story, in which you play as him for the first time. Very exciting. Ryuji is in a batting cage with both Majima and Akiyama. They both are in awe of his rival. The zombie bites Ryuji's arm, in which he reveals that he has a prosthetic arm that transforms into a minigun, which is sick. I remember in the story that Kiryu cut off his arm. I can't really much remember, but it shows his capabilities by killing the rest of the zombies. In the flashback, Nikaido tries to convince Ryuji to come back to the Omi, in which Ryuji refuses as he's not a part of the Yakuza life anymore. He's now a takoyaki chef. Very ominously, Nikaido claims that Ryuji will change his mind about it. Back to present time, Ryuji tells Majima that Nikaido is his responsibility. Nikaido gives Ryuji a map to the location of his old hideout. Inside the hideout, Ryuji looks at a map that shows his targets that have been hit. The one that hasn't been hit yet is the Toshin building. Ryuji saves the SDF soldiers from the zombies. They both clear out Theatre Square and part ways. The path that Ryuji needs to go is blocked by the barricade, but he has an idea to use a tank. He has no rockets. The supplies are on Pink Street. Ryuji meets up with survivors and have to save a bunch of them. Doing that, the leader will give Ryuji a forklift key, and with that he moves the obstacle out of the way and carries the rockets to the tank and blows up the barricade back to civilization. Heading to Toshin building, Ryuji realizes that those marks on the map were all Tojo offices. The same person as before appears again and massacres the Yakuza people, and this zombie has a name. He's called Hayashi. Then all of them turn, leaving Ryuji no choice but to kill them all. Nikaido calls Ryuji, hoping that he will help him out, so they both arrange to meet up at a club called Asia, not before going through Amazing Little Asia and saving every Asian except a child, leaving it behind to fend off by themselves. Inside the club, Haruka is tied to a pole. Ryuji doesn't remember Haruka at first, but then you see a flashback of Yakuza 2 when he saves her from his deranged Omi friend, which is like one of my favourite scenes because that scene showed me that at least he has morals. Nikaido wants to use her to get to the legend of Kamurocho, Kazuma Kiryu, now that the Tojo clan is pretty much done for. He then brings Ryuji Takoyaki Master, who is infected and transformed into an octopus. His legs keeps on regenerating because he's an octopops. Yeah! After persistent fighting, Ryuji remembers something, and that is how to kill an octopus quickly by his master. So Ryuji grabs a pole and jams it in its forehead, killing the beast. Leaving the club, the barricade is breached and all of Kamurocho has fallen down, like the London Bridge, to the zombies and mutants. In the Millennium Tower, Haruka sees the horror from above. Nikaido calls Kiryu to tell him that he has Haruka. Enraged, Kiryu heads to Kamurocho despite the situation, and I know the context of the intro. The story for Ryuji, I'd say, is weak, mainly due to the emotional side of things, making you feel sad for his master. I don't give a shit because it's filler, a non-canon story. Sure, if they tried then they would have made it a lot better, but playing as Ryuji was a blast. I loved him in Kiwami 2, so now the next and final part you get to play as the Dragon of Dojima, the Legend of Kamurocho, and the former 4th chairman of the Tojo clan, Kazuma Kiryu. Paparazzi are outside Kamurocho trying to get a scoop. Everyone moves out of the way for Kiryu. The Tojo clan helps by removing the barricade enough for Kazuma to get in. A street thug zombie pisses Kiryu off as he beats him up with his fist, but they keep getting up. In the flashback, Kiryu gets a letter from an orphanage that he and Haruka grew up in, saying that the headmaster is now retired. Instead of Kiryu going by himself, he sends Haruka to go because he can't leave the orphanage. Back to present time, Kiryu is saved by a female soldier, refusing a weapon that is offered. Asagi tells him to go to Kamurocho Hills, but before that, inside the underground parking lot, a Yakuza from Akiyama's story is bitten and turns. Kiryu stops Asagi from shooting him so that he can fight him with his fist. It's useless, so Kiryu finally gets the gun and kills him, but it's a shame as it isn't shown. So on to Kamurocho Hills. From outside, it seems like everyone is turned or is dead. Going to the second floor in the supermarket, the zombie Hayashi is there waiting. It shows Yakuza 2 footage, but I don't know who he is, as I mainly played the remake version, and seeing his PlayStation 2 graphical face doesn't help at all. Hayashi summons the SDF zombie soldiers to attack. After killing them all, Asagi cries as she had to slaughter her former comrades, and Majima is hiding behind the counter. Kiryu briefs Majima about the Haruka situation. Majima tells Kiryu that Nikaido is behind the attack and the survivors are not dead. They all have evacuated to the purgatory. Majima and Asagi team up with Kiryu and clears the outside so that they can enter the manhole. Majima reveals to Kiryu that he's been bit, as his eyes are red. Majima tells Kiryu that if he turns, he wants him to take him out, because when he does turn into a zombie, the world will turn upside down, which is a nice sentiment, and they both part ways. Survivors in the purgatory look restless. Akiyama meets up with Kiryu and said that the florist might have a lead, and that lead is that the other dude Nikaido hangs around with is called Didi, the bootlegged Michael Jackson. He's an arms dealer. He found a bacteria in Africa and weaponized it called Thanatos, and Nikaido backs up his project, and he learns that he's not part of the Omni Alliance. He just wants revenge on the Tojo clan and Kiryu. Zombies have made their way to the sewers, heading to the purgatory. Kiryu alongside Akiyama tried to buy some time for the florist to evacuate the women and children. Asagi saves them both when there's too many zombies to handle. Going outside, a dragon appears. With the effort of teamwork, the thing is killed. Akiyama then heads back to purgatory and Daigo meets with Kiryu. They both catch up and he has a message from the florist, and that is to find the master gunsmith at the Kurogane building to get a powerful weapon. After getting a bumpy ride, they both make it to a prosthetic shop where Ryuji is. Kiryu part of the story is weak, especially when you won't kill a zombie because they were once human or had feelings. Like, bro, kill them first and philosophize later. I got annoyed, and not much happens in this part of Kazuma's story, so the next one is the final chapter of the game. Inside the shop, the master gunsmith repairs Ryuji's arm. He made his good attachment for him that Kiryu cut off. Ryuji doesn't hold any resentment for that. The florist has pinned down Nikaido and his bitch. The location is at a penthouse of the Millennium Tower. Majima is walking outside, drinking his problems away and killing zombies. He just wants to turn into them as soon as possible. So he sees a sauna shop and has a brainiac idea, and that idea is that sweating away the poison might do the trick. The gunsmith brings out 50 cal sniper rifle for Kiryu to use. Both Ryuji and Kiryu leave, as Asagi stays behind because it's not her fight to begin with. Kiryu and Ryuji make it to the tower and has to go to the top floor via the elevator, but it stops at the 56th floor, so they have to go on foot to the 60th floor before getting a key from Majima's safe on the 58th floor. Hayashi waits for both of them for a fight and is killed. He regains consciousness for a second to realize Kiryu's strength. Backstory time. He actually knew that Didi was an arms dealer, so he wanted to know about his plans as he didn't approve of them. He gets shot by Nikaido, who is lower than him in terms of rank. Then Steven Tyler injects him with the bacteria, transforming him into what you see now. Back to the present time, his last words were sweet death. Up in the penthouse, they finally meet up. Nikaido got a gun on Haruka while Didi watches. He lets Haruka go as she slowly walks to Kiryu. They both exchange words, meaning Kiryu and Nikaido, and a bunch of mutants shows up. Kiryu does a badass power lift, throwing a liquor off of him. The other two final form liquor appear that are quite big. After the mutant is killed, Nikaido nonchalantly loses. Then Didi has an ace up his sleeve and shoots his partner with the latest batch of Thanatos. His goal is to make everyone orgasm, as bacteria releases endorphins to the brain, which is why all of them feel so good. Now it's time for Nikaido to die. Kiryu and Ryuji get past the first phase, but they transform again to a bigger mutant. Ryuji and Haruka are separated from Kiryu, so Kiryu will have to take on the giant Nikaido by himself. Asagi helps in the middle of the battle by giving Kiryu grenades and a rocket launcher. Killing Nikaido, Didi tries to leave with the Thanatos batch, but is cornered by Ryuji and Kiryu. They both talk about life being hard, blah blah blah, and the Thanatos will liberate them, blah blah blah. Face your trouble head on. It's just shonen speech type cliche. A silent helicopter creeps up as Didi jumps on it and leaves. Fortunately, the rope ladder is long enough for the zombies to grab on and pull the heli from the ground. Akiyama is a pilot of the helicopter and jumps off, leaving Didi to die in explosion. So Akiyama has one kill under his belt. Soon after, the streets are swept by the SDF soldiers, and survivors are saved from purgatory. A sauna explodes as Majima is inside. He finally sweats his zombie poison off, and his eyes are red due to pollen season. The bite he received from the zombies had dentures in. Pure comedy. Majima wasn't infected in the first place, and the story ends there, with the brief scenes of what the characters are up to, but that's it. The end credit, you see all the past Yakuza game, including Yakuza Ishin, which is a fucking tease, and there's a post-credit scene where a drunk person is walking like a zombie, and the army plus police arrive, coming to realize it's a drunk. He pukes and they all retreat. And that's the story of Yakuza Dead Souls. It has its up and downs. I like Majima and Akiyama's story the most since they're like my top favourite characters in this franchise. I've already talked about how I feel for each part, but as for the final chapter, it's a nice conclusion, and Kiryu is a badass hero, giving you life lessons behind his words and fists. Unfortunately, the gameplay for Yakuza Dead Souls isn't that good at all. it's dull for the most part because, well, it's a beat 'em up and you can't just beat up any zombies you see. I mean, you could try that in the story, but it didn't work, and everyone has a weapon gimmick assigned to them. Akiyama has a dual pistol, Majima has a shotgun, Ryuji has a fucking minigun for an arm, and Kiryu has a 50 cal sniper rifle. But before I talk about the cool stuff, I want to talk about the world of Kamurocho. It's the same as Yakuza 4. You can go to the arcades, eat food, go to Don Quixote, play western games like poker, blackjack and so on, as well as eastern games like Sea Lord Mahjong and more. The world of Yakuza always felt small but dense. Further on into the game, each section gets cut off and goes into quarantine in where you can go in and out, but it didn't feel like I needed to. You needed to find a person or a manhole to get back to the zombie filled hellhole. You can liberate shops that are in quarantine. Once you do, you can use those shops in the zone, but again, I didn't need to because you find supplies everywhere that have ammo and health items, making going to food joints to replenish health useless. You have adventure mode to free roam without the quarantine zone, so going to the karaoke bar isn't a problem. Well, that part of the map doesn't get sectioned off anyways. If you're wondering, Ryuji does sing. He sings a duet with no one and is actually pretty good. I'm kinda surprised someone of his caliber can actually sing. Well, if Majima can sing, then anyone can sing. Unfortunately, when Ryuji does sing, he doesn't have those transitions akin to Yakuza 0 or any other Yakuza games. However, as for the other cast, if you played Yakuza 4 or Yakuza 3, then you pretty much seen them all, and it's pretty much my tradition to finish all the songs that are in all Yakuza games. Another thing I try to do in all Yakuza games is to go inside Sega Arcade Club and at least complete all the games. In Yakuza Dead Souls there isn't much, apart from the crane game and the 3D shoot 'em up. In further installments it gets a lot better, like in Yakuza 0 and Yakuza 5, having Virtua Fighter 5 and Outrun, which is like having a full length game inside of another full length game. You can pick up pieces that you missed, like sub-stories, completing Hasagawa challenges, or doing normal Yakuza challenges like eat at every restaurant, mod equipment, minigames, hostess club, heat challenges and partner. In order to do those, you need to speak to Asagi to go to the last adventure before the final mission. In adventure mode, you can swap around characters to play if you get bored, or do their side of the quest. I didn't care much for sub-stories, as most of them are in quarantine zone for each 4 characters. I did do at least one for Kiryu, and you save Arase, the former family of Nishikiyama. At first he kinda reminds me of Anon, but in a red jacket. Like I said before, you meet with Reina to do her challenges, but she's not the only one. You meet with some weird people that are in like every Yakuza game or have the same method, like Garrick for example. He owns a boot camp and you meet him when he plays Akiyama, and his objective is to train you in the arts of shooting range and field combat. I wasn't that interested, so I just played the field combat and it's decent. When you finish the test, more will unlock, which I'm guessing with the more difficulty spikes. And you also meet with Kiryu's master, who is in all Yakuza games. You meet him at the very start of the game with Akiyama, and honestly I don't know what he does, I just skipped his dialogue. But yeah, he's in the game. There's also the Fat Twins that can mod your weapons, and you can buy better equipment from them. If you want, you can donate money to him. Doing that will give you advanced modding and get some better gear. But keep in mind you have to buy all of them, even though you donated most of the money for his cause. You can also sell most of his stuff to him, making a little bit more money. The people of Kamurocho are stupid. Like, there's an outbreak going on, and outside the quarantine zone, they all don't care, just living their own life. I mean, at the very least act concerned, but no. They act like it's Yakuza 4, and it breaks the immersion. I guess the people don't care unless it happens to them, and when it does, that's when the complaints begin, like the real world. Now the gameplay part of Yakuza Dead Souls is very awful. There's no two ways about it. I love Yakuza a lot, so seeing and playing this game hurts me. Firstly is the camera. It's awful. It doesn't work well with the shooting style that this game brings. And what's worse is the weird awful lock-on feature thing. It messes up with the camera because it doesn't lock onto the zombie, or if it does, they've done a poor job of it. Like, you have to move in front of the zombies and aim. Sometimes you shoot past them. There isn't a reticle lock-on, so you don't know which zombie you're shooting. But in my experience, it normally goes for the one closest to you, and when you lock on you can't switch to another one. You have to sidewalk in front of another zombies to shoot, and with the camera you can't see what's behind. You have to run back to see them and then shoot. I had to rely on the kill streak to see if I killed any behind me. You can aim manually, which the devs failed at, because when you aim, you move with the left stick to aim. When mostly all of the games I've played, you use the right analog stick and move with the left one. But during boss fight it got confusing. The gun battle is repetitive and not in a fun way. The only fun you get out of the gameplay is a boss fight, as some of them are different but ultimately lacking compared to the other Yakuza titles with their amazing boss fights. In certain sections of the games you have a partner with you that can help you fight mutants and zombies. Sometimes they can be useful, but most of the time they're useless. Like for this instance, I was playing as Kiryu and I was speedrunning through the sewers, and Asagi, my partner, well, I guess she got stuck and got attacked by zombies. And when I was at the end of the level, I was given the task to clear out the zombies, but the problem was that I couldn't backtrack because there was an invisible wall in the way, and Asagi was on the other side being attacked by zombies, so I had to quickly kill the zombies in order to progress. But on one instance in where your partner was useful was the final chapter when you play as Kiryu and you have Ryuji by your side, because at least then you don't have to deal with no invisible bullshit. So when you have a partner, you can command them to do certain things, like attack, which is self-explanatory, back me up, in which your partner tries to protect you, and up to you, which is basically the partner doing whatever he wants. When they're hurt, you can command them to use their own health pack. The layout in this game is not good, I don't like it at all. Like in all Yakuza games, there's an invisible barrier to stop you from exploring and just follow the story. I don't mind that as much, but like back in the day when I played Yakuza 4, it annoyed me a lot. But in Dead Souls, the streets are cut off in the beginning, and to go across the street, you need to go through loops and holes that are unnecessary to move one step forward in where you need to go. You have different zombie variety, like the fat ones, the brute ones, the flying ones, these annoying monkey boys that move around quickly and jump at you. If they grab your partner, then they're stuck until you kill it. You have the hostess zombies that scream, which attracts more zombies, and there's more. But my favourite is the kung fu zombies. I like the tattoo and the white coat with headphones, it looks cool. You can upgrade your character with the ability, and in this game that's also not good because, well, you have to unlock inventory slots, weapon slots and so on. While in the combat side of things, it's like the little things such as wake up attacks, counter attacks, and I think you can unlock hand to hand combat. If the gameplay was any good, I would have tried, but I'm not a completionist. Only a completionist if I like the game and it's fun. Only the story and playing as Majima and Ryuji is what made this game for me bearable. Like if only Kiryu was playable, or you play as 3 random guys, then I would have dropped this game in an instant. Playing as Majima, you feel overpowered with the shotgun, as he should, because it's Majima. As for Ryuji in this game, he's humble as he was in Yakuza 2, so I have no issues playing as him. His minigun is so cool, being a prosthetic arm and all. It's powerful of course, but it can easily run out of ammo. As for Kiryu, at first I didn't like playing as him because all he had was a pistol, which is weak, and playing as Majima, then Ryuji, then Kiryu, it felt stale because Majima has the best story and he plays Ryuji for the first time. But as for Kiryu, he gets a pistol. Only at the final chapter, way late in the game, he gets a 50 cal sniper rifle. The gun itself is very powerful, you can get collateral damage, but it has a poor rate of fire. You do get a normal sniper rifle in a boss fight against a dragon that has a good rate of fire and can kill zombies in one shot. As for Akiyama, I guess you can consider him as being neutral because he has a pistol, a submachine gun and a Desert Eagle. All of them are really good weapons. Just like in Yakuza, they have heat moves that is cinematic. In this game it's similar, you have a meter that can fill up by killing zombies, and then you see point of interest marks around you. Using it you can net kills while looking good. If you have a partner then you can do it like all the time when your meter is full, but not if they're incapacitated. You do have frame rate issues when there's like too many things going on, and in my experience the only thing that triggers this is when you do an explosion, because then most of the zombies will die, and I'm guessing that the game can't process all of that quickly. The music in this game is mostly rock, given that it is Japan, and most of the music are rock. Just listen to any anime openings, and that's all I have to say about it. I guess it tries to hype you up when you're fighting zombies, but like most of the time my brain was switched off. Through my time playing this game, I got 2,547 kills killing zombies and mutants, and the game overall took me 9 hours and 53 minutes. A short game for a Yakuza title. And that's my review of Yakuza Dead Souls for the PlayStation 3. The gameplay isn't fun, and it's oversaturated with zombies of course, but like most of the zombies I've played are pretty good, like your Resident Evils, and well, that's all I can think about. Ooh, and Dead Rising. The story is decent and the gameplay is weak. I'm still waiting for Yakuza Ishin to come out. I mean, I can play the Japanese port if I want to, but I prefer to have the physical game in my hands. Ultimately, this game is the weakest in the Yakuza franchise. They tried to do something new and it failed. But then again, adding zombies isn't anything new. The gun combat is poor. Like in other Yakuza games, there are guns in the game, but they're secondary and have limited ammo, giving you a chance to overpower whoever you're fighting. And honestly, skipping this game is the next best thing to do. Like if you want to know what happens in story, or you want to see how Majima and Ryuji play, then just watch the cutscenes. Like if I have to rank this game out of all Yakuza games I've played, is definitely at the bottom. And if I have to sum up in one word, I say it's mediocre, because the gameplay part of things is bad while the story is at least decent. And with that said, I've been AnimersiveXP. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to comment, like, share, subscribe, and hopefully you see me next video. Bye bye.